trade unionists, construction workers and others, agitators who have been here very violent over the past couple of days. 10 o'clock this morning is when it was set to happen here again. It was all quiet. It's been about, an hour now since then, but the group seems to have formed elsewhere rather than forming here because the police have cordoned off streets, stopping anyone getting to this location. There have been some arrests nearby that we've seen, but now what we have is a group that has formed elsewhere and is marching towards this location. I understand they're actually at the top end of this hill here. This is Elizabeth Street. We have the Royal Children's Hospital, for instance, is at the top there, as our Melbourne viewers will know. And you have a line of police at this side, and the right police with the shields is at the far end there. You've got the Bearcat in the middle, that heavily fortified police vehicle. The riot squad on this side of them. They have arms to fire rubber bullets, which happened yesterday and the day before into the crowd. So it may be that we understand there's a group of, was estimated to be, me by a witness up there, about 100, 120 protesters today who are coming down towards this area. And the group each day has been growing, so it starts small and then builds. So we'll see what happens when they meet the police.
Well, the scenes we saw yesterday were absolutely horrific. You personally were attacked by people out there, the protesters. What's the feeling there at the moment? Do you feel this could yet again, we could see similar scenes as what we did yesterday? And are the police better prepared this time? Because there is speculation that it got out of control yesterday and police weren't prepared when the protesters then basically took over the city.
There's no doubt that it could have been handled differently by the police yesterday and in a more heavy-handed way. And certainly last night in the police press conference, the Chief Commissioner, Shane Patton, said that today they will come down hard and fast. He said we will not be allowing any of that to happen yesterday. And as you say, Kylie, yesterday for hours, it was 6-7 hours, where this group of largely men paraded themselves through the city. Police largely watched. They did traffic direction to stop traffic while they went through. They got to the very top of the Westgate Bridge in extraordinary scenes. As someone from the trade union movement described this morning on Sunrise, that is a scene that is a sacred site for the construction industry because 50 years ago, dozens of workmen died when that bridge collapsed. Yet here these protesters were yesterday, using it as a trophy for their stupidity to bring our city to a standstill. So the police this morning, you get a sense, particularly given what the Commissioner said last night, that they are going to come down, as I say, hard and fast.
Paul, no one was closer to this story than you were yesterday. We saw you get tackled. It was shocking for all of us to watch, you know, as part of your family up here, and then sprayed with urine, as we understand, and later in the day hit in the head with a can. Mate, when you got home and had that first beer last night, what was your reflection on the day? Just absolutely horrifying to be in the middle of that.
Well, let me tell you, Larry, when I got home, it was mid-afternoon and I didn't have a beer, I had a shower. And it wasn't. It was magnificent. Then I got into a fresh suit and came back to work. But as I reflect on it today, I kind of think, look, if you're at a protest, I guess your reason for protesting is because you want to affect some change in something. You want to be heard. But yesterday there was no sense of that. I was more than happy to hear these people, the message. What did they want to say? I was more than happy to share that. That's my job, to tell people what these people are thinking and feeling. But yesterday, the only way to me, well, not the only way, but largely the way they communicated with me is by shouting at me, shouting me down, and then, as you say, assaulting me, grabbing me around the neck, tipping urine on me, and throwing that can right at the back of my head.
Well, you mentioned there you are hearing reports that protesters are making their way to meet police there. Do you have any idea of the time frame so far? I understand we're seeing live pictures right now of these protesters starting to walk the streets heading towards the police.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Kylie, I'm not seeing those pictures to get a sense of where in Melbourne that is, but I've been told just before we spoke with you that it was at the top end here. There's a big flag at a roundabout there here in Parkville, so I'm not sure. They did snake through the city earlier, and I heard them before I saw them. They snaked across the street here, and I could hear the roar, and then saw them. So they're still extremely angry. They may be smaller in number, from what I understand, to what we saw yesterday. And look, this may not even be their target. Yesterday, they started here, but they turned their back on the police and went totally different directions in the city.
All right, Paul, thank you, mate. We'll be back to you shortly. More to come from you there this morning. Tegan Dolling, meanwhile, is at Melbourne's Docklands. Let's go back to Tegan now. What's the latest on the earthquake situation, Tegan, where you are?